Hi guys, it's Hani here. Welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to the second installment of my animal cookie series. If you like my cookie decorating tutorials, be sure to give them thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss any more uploads. Last week we did cows, pigs and sheep, and this week we are going with another set of free cookies. I will be sharing with you how to decorate these hen cookies. Let's not forget adorable chicks, and I'm also going to do a colorful rooster cookie, all in one tutorial. So let's get started. So we're going to start with the rooster. I'm using edible marker to draw the outlines for my design. If you are looking for edible markers and where you guys can get them, be sure to scroll down in the description box under the section tools used in this video. You can find all the links to the cookie cutters that I used and to other tools that you can see me using in my tutorials. Also baking tools that I like to use, like baking sheets, parchment paper and so on. You can find the links where you guys can get those in there. And now let's get started with the decorating. So here I'm using navy blue royal icing. To get the navy blue royal icing this color, you can either use navy blue food coloring that is available. If you don't have this food coloring, you can also use royal blue and just add a tiny bit of black until you reach the color that you like. And I'm using about 15-second consistency royal icing. While the icing is still wet, take dark green and pipe the dots, and then use your needle tool to shape it. I'm going to let this crust for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to start with tail. So as you see, I have sections for the tail already drawn with my edible markers. I'm going to do each section separately, and we have to let each section crust before adding section next to it. So I'm starting with green. I'm using about 20-second consistency for the tail sections. Now we can work on a comb while the tail part is crusting. I'm using red royal icing, also about 20-second consistency. And then you can start with navy blue, and you're gonna repeat this until you are done with all the feathers. Now we're gonna use red royal icing to make the wing. And I'm using icing that is about 15 to 20-second consistency, around there. You want it to be fluid enough so you can do some wet on wet, but not stiff so it doesn't smooth out nicely. Take some orange and yellow and pipe the lines like so, and then take your needle tool and run your needle tool through the lines. Let it crust, and then you can make the, I believe this is called the hackle, and I'm using orange, about 15 to 20 second consistency also. And while it's still wet, we're going to pipe some yellow dots all over, and then use your needle tool to shape the dots. Then we're gonna have to let this crust for a little bit before we add the waddle. Now it's time to add the beak using some orange. Again, use about 20 seconds for the beak. For the legs, use piping consistency, orange royal icing. Now we're ready to make the eye. For the eye, start with white base, about 20-25 second consistency. Use your needle tool to shape it and smooth the icing, and then add a black dot, and for the reflection, just a tiny dot of white, just on the edge of black. Now finish the beak with edible marker, and I'm just going to outline the waddle and the wing. Alright, and there is your colorful rooster. Second design is the hen. This is a rather large cutter, so you have a lot of room to work with. So you can create a really variety of designs with this. I'm using edible marker, drawing the outlines first. And we're going to start with the tail. So I'm gonna do the feathers first. And just like with the rooster, we're going to do each feather individually. So I'm starting with dark brown base, and then piping black lines across like so, and then take your needle tool and run the tool through. Then you can add another feather like this, so I'm going to do every other feather, and then we're gonna have to let that crust, and then we can fill in the feathers between. So while that's crusting, we can work on the, I believe this is also waddle. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then we can go back to the tail, add more feathers. Let the tail crust before you start working on a section next to it. So here I'm going to outline and flood a pretty big portion of the cookie. So I'm using 15-second consistency royal icing, and I colored my royal icing with some ivory food coloring. Now we can make the beak using orange royal icing. And now we're gonna make the hackle with orange as well. It's about 15-second consistency. Use your needle tool to shape the icing while it's still wet. Now use some black royal icing, add the dots, and just like before, use your needle tool to shape the dots. Now we can make the comb using red royal icing. Make sure the orange hackle part that we just did is crusted over, and then you can make the waddle. Let that crust and then finish with the eye. Again, I'm starting with white base. Adding brown, then a little bit of black, and then just a touch of white on the edge of black for the reflection. Now we're going to add the wings. So you have to make sure that your base is either thick crusted so you can use edible marker, or it's dried over so the edible marker doesn't crack the surface of the royal icing. So here I'm going to make 3 feathers. I used my lighter brown for the base, and then ivory for the lines, and then I adding also black dot at the very end. Let this crust, and then you can make the center feather, and then let these 3 crust over, and you can finish the whole wing. So while that's crusting, we can do some detail work. I'm outlining the comb and also the waddle. Finish the beak, and now you can finish the wing by outlining it and flooding it with the ivory royal icing. So once the wings is crusted over, you can add some details with piping consistency royal icing. Now I'm going to outline the whole section just to give it this design more depth. And that's for the hens, and the third design is the cutest of them all, little chicks. I always loved little chicks. My grandmother would have them in a card box, and we would go there, sneak in the morning, and we really wanted to pet them so badly. They were so cute. So once again, I used my edible marker, draw the outlines for your design, and then starting with yellow, we're going to the bottom first. And I'm using about 15-second consistency royal icing. And this is not just the pure yellow. I used yellow, and I always, not always, but I often like to add a little bit of orange, just a tiny bit, just to mute the yellow down if I don't need super bright yellow. Now we can make the beak with orange. As always, for small section like this, use icing that is a bit thicker so you don't have a cave-in and the icing doesn't just spread on you and falls off the cookie. So it's better to use icing that is a bit thicker. Let the bottom crust before adding the head. Now we're gonna add the legs. I was gonna say eggs. So for the eggs, use orange royal icing. Use icing about piping consistency. Okay, so once the design is crusted over, we can add the eye. That was a really easy eye with just a black royal icing, make a dot. And now we're gonna make the wing with yellow. It's cute, isn't it cute? I love how this turned out. I like that the legs really turned out the way I wanted them to. And now we're gonna outline with piping consistency yellow royal icing to finish this design. But we have one more thing to do, and that's the cheeks. I'm going to add a little bit of color to the cheeks. Finish the beak. And here are the finished chick cookies. They turned out so adorable and so yellow. So today we managed to do 3 cookies. We did rooster, hen, and a totally adorable yellow chick. I wonder if you can spot them in a mix. Can you find the cookies from last week too? So today you watched second episode from Farm Animal Cookie series. Third episode is coming out next week. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss this episode, and also make sure that you hit the bell button so you get notified about my new uploads. If you like this tutorial, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and share it on social media. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.